It's interesting how different everybody is in this rotation in terms of how they want to feel on a start day. I guess how they want to prepare on a start day, because you've got the guys like Logan or George who are just like 0 to 100 on a start day in terms of their intensity, and then you have people like you and Bryce who, like, at least we hear Bryce is pretty mellow and pretty relaxed on a start day, and then you, like, I mean, for people who haven't heard this story, a couple weeks ago when you're making your start, you walk by us, we're standing on the field, and you're like, what's up? Like, who's hopping on the mic today, et cetera, et cetera. And the two of us are looking around. We're like, are we allowed to be talking to him right now? Or are we going to get ripped by somebody from the team? So, like, it's very different how all you guys prepare, and I think it's interesting.
Yeah, and I will say this. I have gotten a lot better with that. I think early on, like in college, it was maybe a little bit of the psycho, like, don't talk when I got my headphones in type of deal. But I just think the more and the longer that you do it, it's like, we talk about this with people with the Mariners. It's just kind of like you kind of have to still be a human, like I can still interact with you if I have to pitch or not. And I think I've gotten better at like locking in when you need to lock in. And it makes the days, helps your mind not be so fatigued at the end of the day.
Is it a thing? Is it just overthinking? If you close everyone out too early, are you just spending too much time thinking about your start, and perhaps you can, you like you said, you exhaust yourself that way by like running through a simulation of what the start's going to look like too many times, and then you get out there and you're like, man, I'm already tired. Like my brain hurts. Like this doesn't feel natural to me.
Yeah, I think you're just expending energy that you don't need to. Like, do you really need to be locked in as soon as you wake up during the day? It's like, I kind of like as many starts as you're going to make during a day. And as long as the baseball season is, like, it's nice to wake up and like enjoy a little bit of the day. And then like when you head to the field, then it's like, okay, like now it's time to start getting into that mode. Like, I know that I can lock it in when I need to. Like, I can kind of cut up with some of you guys or make jokes with some of the other guys. Like, it's going to be okay.
So when does that start for you? What time of the day is that you're like let's lock in?
Probably like after I get lunch, and it's like kind of that down period, but like when I'm getting ready to head to the field, and it's like when I pull into the field, like I'm probably ready to go. And like once we get to like the starting pitchers meeting, it's like, all right, it's time to get ready.
I'm curious I want to take you back a little bit earlier on into your Mariners career, what your first conversation was like with the pitching group. Because we've talked to a couple of the guys, especially in the bullpen, who have talked about how when they sat down with the Mariners pitching group, that they're really straightforward with them, and they talk about, we already like the stuff you have. Don't worry about changing up your entire arsenal. Just maybe throw this pitch a little bit more, or this pitch a little bit more ahead in counts. Like, when you first sat down with the Mariners pitching group, what did they tell you?
Yeah, I remember being at the hotel in 2020, it was the outside, and this was the spring training, whatever we had before. And I was sitting down with Max, who's our old pitching coordinator, and we were just kind of going through everything. Like, these are your numbers on your pitches. This is what it would do right now in the major leagues. And for us at school, like, we had the technology. We didn't quite go into the depths that the Mariners do, as we've all learned about like what the numbers actually are. And so it was like, wow, it's like there's different strategies of like, all right, just because this pitch has this numbers, we need to throw it here. And then the whole like OOs and 1-1s, it's like as a pitcher your whole life, like you always understood like, okay, I need to get ahead. Like, and when I get ahead and I'm throwing more strikes, like I'm probably going to be more successful. And so, but just seeing like the numbers laid out in front of you, it's like, okay, well, in this count, it's this. And then if I get behind, it's this. It's like, okay, well, I'm just going to try to throw strikes. And if I do that, then everything will be good. But having that initial conversation that kind of started everything, and as much as I know now, it's been really cool.
Do you remember what the first usage tweak was? Like the biggest change you had to do going from college to pro?
So the first thing we wanted to do was start to throw like the 2 fastballs. So that was a big thing. In college, I threw the same grip, but, when I would go up in the zone, it would kind of be more true and ride more. When I would go down, arm side, it would run. And so Max was like, you have the ability to have a really good both heater. And it's like, we think that can make you, really, really good. And so early on, we tried to do the same grip. and just manipulate it. But then as soon as we switched to like the two-seam grip, that's when things got like a lot easier because the shapes got more distinct.
How do you feel like your evolution as a pitcher has been in your now 4 years in the Mariners org?
I think it never ends. Like, just, I think, who I was 2 years ago is not who I am now, and the same could be said in 2 years from now. Like, the thing that I've learned most is, like, you always need to be trying to adapt and evolve. Like, you always need to be open to new ideas and new pitches and new grips because, like, you're always trying to push that envelope. And I'm a guy that I'm going to use every possible resource or every possible cue to try to get better. And so I just think, like, you're always trying that.
Are you the best fielding pitcher in the organization, by the way? Like, I remember that play from your debut, by the way. Like the Grisham ball up the line, you dive flat on your stomach, you barehand the ball, you backflip it to first. I remember watching that. I was like, whoa. Like, how often do you see a pitcher do that? Like, is it when you guys do PFPs in spring training, are guys standing around like, God, Emerson's going to make us look bad again in these drills?
I don't think so. I think that clip helped me out a ton because after that, there was probably a couple of rough ones that didn't look so great. The one in Colorado where Ty ran me over, that was a tough one. And the one against Chicago where they hit the kind of the one in between I had to run over, I was telling Ty after the game because I kind of like stumbled and dove and I was expecting to get hit again. I was like, Ty, you kind of scarred me a little bit there, brother.
So who's the best one then? If it's not you, who's the best fielding pitcher?
I don't know. I mean, I think all the guys are surprisingly athletic. Like, they make the play. Like, they're really accurate with their throws. Like, it's a pretty good group.
What does it mean to you to get to share an organization with, I'd say, Logan Gilbert and George Kirby specifically? Because you guys were all sort of cut from the same mold with the same idea when the team drafted you. First round, right-handed power pitcher. So what does it mean for all of you guys to come up in the organization together and all try and pitch the Mariners to success?
It's special. It really is. I mean, I just think that starting, back when we did and as much time as we've been together and kind of seeing, their success and learning who they are as a person, as a player, and just watching them grow, man, it's been cool. And it's been really special to do it with all the guys. As much time as, you get to spend with each other, you really do become like family. And to be able to go out and, do the best you can for the organization and try to win games, man, it is awesome. It's hard to put into words, and I'm really, really grateful to be a part of it.
Do you play a lot of golf with those guys?
Yeah. We've played a good amount of golf.
Well, I know you're really good, and we hear Kirby's really good. Who wins more often?
Kirby, I've never beat Kirby one-on-one. We never played one-on-one either, but Kirby, I think he's always outshot me. He's just a really solid player, man.
Can we get a golf power ranking, guys in the org?
I think so. From who I've played with, George is one for sure. I would say probably maybe me or Woo is a tie, depending on like who's putting better that day. Woo strikes the ball beautifully though, like it's a real fluid swing and everything. I played golf with Cal a couple of times, and he's probably maybe a little bit below, and then Logan is probably at the bottom.
That's what we heard about Logan. In fact, Logan was telling us in spring training, sometimes I'll like to play golf.
Sorry, I can't leave Brash out. Brash is in there too. Yeah, Brash is really fun to play with.
Is he pretty good?
Yeah, really good.
So where's he on the ranking?
I think they might get mad at me for saying. I would say that like me, Brash, and Woo are kind of in the same bucket of like who's playing better that day. Because if I'm not driving it well, I have no chance.
I remember Logan saying to us in spring training, sometimes before a start day, I'll actually like to go play golf because he said it's relaxing. But he said, I'm not very good, but I like to go play. Those were his words, not ours. But
yeah, he is fun, though. He's fun to be out there.
I can't imagine. Like, I'm trying to think of myself golfing before a start day. I feel like I just get more pissed off.
Yeah, you could.
Ball ends up in the water, and I'm just like, I shoot I'd probably shoot like a 60 over if I was out there on a golf course, and going into my start day, I would do that as motivation, not as something that's actually like relaxing.
Or you could go out there and fire a high 70s and be like, all right, here we go. It's going to be a day.
If I'm shooting par, I'm going to play mini golf instead. My putting is fine. I have no problem putting. It's just getting the ball anything beyond like 15 yards.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's cool that I've heard a couple people do that before, though. Like, just to be able to go out and take a big chunk of the day to not think about the start or pitching. Like, I think that's really beneficial.
Do you have a day before start thing that you do?
Nothing in particular. I mean, obviously you go through all your prep, your lifting, your whatever, but most of the time it's just kind of the same stuff. I don't know. I just don't really like to play golf the day before. I'm weird about certain things.
How long have you been playing golf?
So I used to play a good bit when I was a kid. My dad would take me and my brother out, and we would go play and do whatever. And so, like, even then, like, I loved it. We just didn't have a lot of time for it.
Mm-hmm.
We were always traveling. We were always playing baseball. And after my freshman year at Georgia, a lot of the guys stayed and trained and worked out over the summer, and that's when we played a lot. And that's when I was like, okay, like, I really do love the sport.
That's cool.
Break yourself down as a golfer. What are your strengths and weaknesses?
Okay, so I think I would say my strength is probably putting. Like, that's where I'm going to give myself the best chance. The driver is hit or miss, as I think with everyone that plays golf. Like, that's not a thing. If I'm hitting it in play, in bounds, I got myself a good chance because, like, I feel like I have pretty good feel on the greens.
Okay. I like that. I like that breakdown. You know, you mentioned what you do before a start, by the way. I've always been curious about this. Like, how many days throughout a week will you actually lift and work out? Because I can't imagine it's every day, especially on a start day. But, like how do you break that up?
Yes, I always do a lower, an upper, and then it's like called like a primer lift, like the day before. So I like to go the day after the start. It used to be kind of a lower that day. But then I was like, all right, let's try it and see just what happens if we give ourselves like a full day to recover. Like, how's the body going to feel? And I always had felt like probably the past 2 years of giving yourself that day, like I could get so much better lower lift because my body felt better. Mm-hmm. So I'll go lower, and then normally on day 3 would be my bullpen. I'll go upper body after that day. After the bullpen is like an off day, kind of maybe like a really good mobility day to kind of flush everything out. Day before is a primer lift where you're getting in there, you're trying to move things quick, trying to move things explosive, and then start.
So how do you deal with being sore from a workout during a start? If I was a starter, I would think to stay away from upper body any time close to a start. Because the last thing you want to do is get out there and you're like, man, it's like shoulders are aching from that workout yesterday. I can't be doing that. Yeah,
it's a balance. It really is, because I think as you go throughout the season, you know, like the intensity that you can go, how many sets you need to do. And so, but your body also gets used to it. So once you get to a really good point in the season, it's like you can go in there and lift, you can go lower, and like the next day you're not really sore just because of the stress that it's kind of like adapted to throughout the year.
Do you have like a big, do you have a big, like after a start, do you do cardio to loosen things up too? Because I know Castillo does that. A day after the start, he'll put the headphones on and he'll just be jogging everywhere.
Yeah,
do you
cool.
have something like that?
No, I kind of wish I did. Kind of wish I had something every day to go out there. I mean, I think the day after, I want to just move. I want to move as much as I can. If I'm at the stadium, probably try to get on the treadmill, do like an incline walk, like just go through everything normal, but also kind of like limiting the amount of throws and stress for that day.
If you had an off day, you should just go hiking. Have you been hiking?
Hiking or play golf, you know?
Yeah, you could do either. No golf cart allowed though. If you're playing golf, you gotta
That's
walk.
Right. You need to walk.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
All right, so you're not running 100 flights of stairs like Luis or whatever it is.
No, but that's kind of a cool routine if you think about it.
It's pretty cool.
Like every stadium you go to, like you're in there, you get to see it. Like you're just, I think the beauty of like being like in an empty stadium too, there's something about it that it just it's really cool.
Oh, even for us, like when we show up to the field early and like you could hear a pin drop in the place before all the fans show up, like even just kind of standing out there on the field, we think it's cool because like
it's cool, right?
Yeah.
There's something peaceful about it. And that's when I think you see guys like walking around in the outfield, putting their headphones in or just being outside. It's like, man, like this is sick.
Yeah, it's like whole place to yourself. Like, you know, as a kid, could you ever imagine I have this whole major league field to myself where I can just get out there and like do whatever I want to do without, not that you don't enjoy the screaming home crowd, but like beforehand when you get like you said, the peacefulness of it, it's crazy.
It is. I never could imagine as a kid you'd be here, but here we are.
Yeah.
And we see the difference, too, because Luis is a guy who runs, but Logan will go meditate instead. He's not out there running. He just goes, sits and walks essentially in the outfield while the stadium's like completely empty. Just seeing the variance of that, I think is pretty cool. Would there be any one thing that sticks out to you that you'd want to add to your routine that you think one day would be beneficial to you?
I really don't know. I think just watching other guys though, how they go about certain things, and it's like, hey, like, does that help you? Like, do you feel really good doing that? I'm really not sure, but I like where we're at right now. But again, like, there might be something 2 months from now where you're like, all right, I want to do this. This is what I need to do. This helps me, and you go from there.